Yeah. We really boxing. Who wanted the baddest? Let's see.
Oh, we boxing? Yeah, we boxing. I need that belt like it ain't no other option. So we punching and weaving and blocking. Defeat ain't an option. Let them know. Shoot a video, put it on BVO. Let them know. Every time I punch, it's a heavy blow. BVO, bound to hit like bricks cause it was set in stone. Let them know. I ain't getting body, but I'ma hit this flow. Yeah, way more than a show. This is BVO. This how it's finna go. I'ma throw some jabs. Make them think my punch is weaker than I hook his ass. This the ring, not the kitchen, but I'ma cook his ass. Me and him, that's a pro versus the rookie class. All my life I had to fight, but I still love it. Me and BVO got moves that you can't steal from us. And these haters be throwing shots, but I don't feel nothing. I ain't gonna lie, shit, they alright, but we a little rougher. Step up for the title and face your rival, this ain't no little tussle. Bet I be no bird, being chicken to get your feathers ruffled. Footwork, I'm dancing around my opponent like the Cupid shuffle. Good work, bodies hit the flow, they can't move a muscle. The upside is we ain't in the streets, shooting and shooting up. Catch me in the ring, sticking, moving and suited up. I know everybody can eat, but I ain't full enough. Oh, you said it's smoking some beef, I guess I'm pulling up. Oh, we boxing? Yeah, we boxing. I need that belt like it ain't no other option. So we punching and weaving and blocking. Defeat ain't an option. Let them know. Shoot a video, put it on BVO. Let them know. Every time I punch, it's a heavy blow. BVO, bound to hit like bricks cause it was set in stone. Let them know. I ain't getting body, but I'ma hit this flow. Yeah, way more than a show. This is BVO.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy BVO Boxing coming to you live. Salute to my man. I got my man in the building today. How you doing, man? How you feeling?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm above ground. I can't complain.
Salute to everybody. To my man CDK Boxing. He's gonna be doing some moderating for us today. So, what you feel about the new news in boxing today, man?
Man, great news, man. One thing about it, I'm like you, man. Boxing is it's just like it's my passion. I love it. And I keep up with everything going on, in the upcoming fights. I feel like this is the best year in boxing in a long time, man. We get some great fights this year. I can't complain.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I just know it's just one of them things where I almost can't believe all they doing. Al Haymon is really doing this thing, man. I'm so proud to say, Cleveland is really taking over boxing in a major way, man. What you think?
Yes, man. I'm gonna say, Al Haymon right now is the biggest thing in boxing. A lot of people don't want to give him the credit, and that he deserves. But Al Heyman, he's making all the fights. It seems like everybody wants to sign with Al Heyman. He had everything going on for all the fighters. Canelo, if Canelo goes with you, you're doing big things. So I see, man, when he signed Canelo for a 3-fight deal, I felt like it was Canelo farewell trip. You know what I'm saying? I felt like these last 3 fights are gonna be the last 3 fights of his career. But Canelo made a smart move, man. So we about to get some great things.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be a for world tour. I think it should be, but I don't know if it will be. I just know that Canelo, man, is just showing you, man, that he has the biggest nuts in boxing, man. I just don't know. I don't know if anybody else can compete with that, man. It's crazy.
Nah, nobody else can compete with that. I mean, if you look back, people don't want to give Canelo the credit, but if you look at his career, I mean, he's fought who's who. I mean, he went up into, weight classes. He's showing you greatness, and whether he lost or not, all you can do is respect what he's done. And that's one thing about it, man. I got to give him respect. I mean, people say whatever they want to say about Canelo. You can rank him where you want to rank him as far as the greatest Mexican fighters there, where you have, Julio Cesar Chavez and other fighters. But Canelo, to me, is at the top of the list when it comes to the greatest Mexican fighters ever. That's just my personal opinion. I believe that he's done all that can be done in boxing, and I salute that man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the absolute truth. I feel like Canelo get a lot of hate. And at the end of the day, if Canelo had waves in the beard, man, I guarantee you he wouldn't get much of this hate, man. It's just that simple. It's only because Canelo's not black, man. That's the only reason why he gets hate he do, man. But I know we got a couple things a couple topics we're going to get into, man. What you thinking, man? What you thinking about? What's on your mind?
First thing on my mind, a lot of reports are coming out that Devin Haney has basically, Shakur Stevens has been begging for this fight with Devin Haney, and it's been reported that a contract has been sent his way. Now, the contract is a 75-25 split. Now, I want people to understand, just my personal opinion, that Devin Haney, when he fought Kambosos, he had to make sacrifices, and when Floyd Mayweather fought Oscar De La Hoya, he had to take a 70-30 split. Floyd Mayweather, in my mind, or my opinion, was already a Hall of Famer when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. He was already the 4th-division world champion, but he still, because he wanted to be great, he took that 70-30 split. So the question I have now for you is, do you think Shakur Stevens has been capping? Do you think he's scary? How do you feel now that the contract has been sent his way?
It just shows you, man, that he's not who they thought he was. A lot like Jaron Ennis, man, they gave him a lot of love early. And you know what? That's just what you get when you're dealing with slick fighters, man. You're going to get that. You're going to get the guys that make it seem like they want the big fights, but when the big fights come, you see scared to death. I don't know. I didn't think he would approach it that way, but I mean, it's just the most cowardice move in boxing I've seen in a long time. Because if that was Canelo, you know what it'd be. If that was Canelo that did that, oh my God. If that was Bud Crawford that did that, you see, and it goes to show, anybody who ever thought Sugar Shakur was that guy, he's not. He's not. He's scared. At the end of the day, if he went the WBC route as the mandatory, the most he can get is 30%. So he's talking about 25%. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds great to me. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what he's thinking, man. It's sad because, unfortunately, man, we giving this kid so much credit, but you know what? At the end of the day, man, that's the kind of cowardice that we got in boxing, where a guy won't go against a guy for 25% to the fight that you said you wanted. You came in the ring talking a big game. Clearly, Devin Haney is the A side. He's clearly the A side. And I'm not the biggest Devin Haney fan, but he's the A side. He's earned it. But the fact is, man, the boy Sugar Shakur is an absolute coward, man. I hate to use such strong terms, but I like to make it simple, man. He's a coward, man, because nobody else would do that. You know that. Nobody else would do that.
Right.
Nobody would sit there and miss an opportunity to become undisputed. Come on. Are we fighting for legacy or not? I don't know, man. What you think about that?
Man, well, this is what I'm going to ask you, because I want to piggyback off of that. But I want to ask you something that was asked to me today when I was talking to my brother, and we were talking about, fights and talking about this certain situation. My brother asked me, okay, my brother basically said that he don't feel like belts matter anymore in boxing. And what he told me was, he said, what do you think would be the outcome if Devin Haney was to, offer Tank Davis that kind of contract? He said, between Devin and Tank, Tank would be the A side. He said, he was asking me how I felt about that. So he was telling me basically he don't feel like that Devin does enough for us, selling or whatever, or being a big draw to where he can demand that type of contract. He was saying that even though Devin's the champion, when he does face Tank, he's gonna have to, concede and say he's the B side. So what do you feel about the champion as far as being a champion? Do you think Devin and Tank fight? Do you see, because he is the champion, do you feel like that he should have the A side right? How do you feel?
The A side is just like anything else. Whoever makes the most money generates the most revenue. And at the end of the day, Tank's the clear A side. We won't get that fight because at the end of the day, let's just be honest here. We know for a fact that that Devin Haney don't want that. Devin Haney don't want that fight. So the moment Devin Haney don't have a fight, the moment Tank don't have a fight, he stops saying his name. And I'm telling you, it goes back to what I'm saying. A lot of these fighters, man, you got to snatch their chain, man, because these dudes is like absolute clowns, man. They talk a big game. They say they want the best. They say they want to fight the best. And at the end of the day, they never do, and they don't. And I'll just say in a nutshell, it just goes to show you that, hey, that's why a guy like Ryan Garcia get a lot of respect from me. That's why a guy like Teofimo Lopez get respect from me. Because guess what? If this was Teofimo Lopez, we wouldn't be asking this. You know that, right? We wouldn't be asking this. If this was Teo and Sugar Shakur shoes, or this was Teo and Devin Haney shoes, it's whatever it takes. He took $1 million to fight Josh Taylor. $1 million measly dollars to take Josh Taylor, and then went in there and beat him to death. I mean, I gave it 2. I gave it 10 too. One of the most dominant performances we've seen in boxing. Hey, you flip that around, that boy Devin Haney won, but it was 7-5. Easy. It was 7-5. So this is stuff I'm saying, man. A lot of these guys, it's cool if people like them, but if they don't like them, it don't count. And like I said, we snatching chains over here, man. You can't run around here doing that, man. You can't just run around here fooling the people, making it seem like you want to do something that you don't want to do. It's wild to me, man. It's wild to me.
Hey, I 100% agree with you on that. And you know we got a major fight coming up with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. But I don't want to focus on that. What I really want to get into is, a lot of people are overlooking a fight that I feel like is going to be something special. And that's Cool Boy Steph and Monster Inu. And I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this fight, but I feel like it's going to be something great. I mean, do you believe if, Monster is able to pull off this win, coming up in weight classes like he's been coming, do you think he'll get the credit he deserves? How do you feel about him as a fighter?
Yeah, hey, Borbet, salute to my man Borbet. He said Canelo might take the boy's life. I agree. I thought about that. I thought of that. But just to answer your question, I'm going to answer that in one question, Borbet. I'll say this. When you're talking about Monster Inoue, you're talking about probably the best fighter in boxing. If you're not saying Jermell Charlo, you're probably going to say Monster Inoue is the best fighter in boxing. Because let's be honest here. If Monster Inoue was Tank size, he'd stop him. If he was Terrence Crawford's size, he'd probably stop him. I mean, let's not forget, man, he went in there and beat Donaire, man, and Donaire going to walk right into the Hall of Fame. It's just not even a question. So, I mean, I don't know. If he go in there and beat Cool Boy Steph, I just hope he get his credit. Because Cool Boy Steph is tough. He beat Figueroa, who beat Max Marcel for the 126-pound belt. So, I mean, I give him a lot of credit for beating Fig. I mean, don't get me wrong. He did go life and death with Fig. So, if you went life and death with Fig, he might get in there and get his head beat up, man. You get in there with somebody like Monster Inoue, man, it might be an easy way for him to go to bed, man. I don't think Cool Boy has a chance because he hasn't fought anybody like Monster Inoue.
What do you say to people that says that Donaire was an older fighter and that, basically he fought not the prime version of him? How do you feel about when people say that?
I ask you this: Did Floyd fight a prime version of Oscar De La Hoya?
I feel like that Floyd fought a pretty good version of Oscar De La Hoya. I feel like that the only I'm big on Monster. I think Monster is a great fighter. The only thing that I see that kind of scares me is he keeps going up. You know, eventually you keep going up. And I as far as his boxing skills, I mean, I put him right there, like you said, with Jermell Charlo. But I still worry about as you keep going up, will you ever run into that fighter that's just too big, you know? But as far as his skills, he's on the elite level. I just wonder if folks is gonna be too big for him. That's the only question I have.
That's a very solid point. But at the end of the day, they pretty much the same size. I mean, I know we like to talk about them coming from the lower weights, but I see Manny Pacquiao come from 110 pounds, getting knocked out down there, and then beating the life out of Gael Cotto. I mean, he beat. Hey, I gotta steal this for my man Q. He beat the sleeves off of De La Hoya. Like he beat De La Hoya bad. I mean, he beat him bad. It was like a Larry Holmes Ali type of beating he gave. I mean, so let's not forget that Pacquiao wasn't the biggest man. At the end of the day, he's the same size as Tank. He's 5'5". He's athletic. He can punch. And when he get in there and stop your boy Cool Boy, man, I just hope they give him his full credit, man. I just hope they give him full credit because Cool Boy's a tough guy. He's not no easy guy to beat, but he's gonna go in there and destroy him, man. It's not even a fair fight. He's gonna go in there and destroy him, man.
If he beats Cool Boy, I definitely would put him number one on my pound for pound list because I'm that high on Cool Boy. And that's why I said, with Manny Pacquiao, even though he moved up, a lot of people would say that, Manny Pacquiao coming from the Philippines, and they say a lot of people want to say that he was malnutrition back in the days, and that's why he was fighting at the lower weight classes. And that's I'm sure you heard that talk. Like a lot of people said the reason he got knocked out early in his career because he wasn't fighting at his real weight class. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But if Monster's able to get Cool Boy out of there, because like I said, I'm high on both of them. If he beats him, I'm definitely putting him at number one on the list, But there's some big things going on in boxing right now that people don't want to put respect on this man's name. Man, Al Haymon, to me right now, is doing more for boxing than anyone has done in the last 20 years. All these big fights, when you say big fight, you say PBC, Showtime. Man, Al Haymon, just on another level. So, what do you think? How do you look at Al Haymon as far as what he's doing for boxing? Do you feel like that Al Haymon has took over boxing?
I think Al Haymon's he's in the catbird seat. He's in the same spot that Oscar was in many years ago. Remember, Oscar was better than Top Rank, and PBC wasn't there yet. The difference is, unlike Oscar, he won't fall asleep at the wheel. You got Canelo, household name. You got Errol Spence, who's a household name. You got really good fighters like Jamel, Terrence Crawford. All these guys are fighting on PBC. Salute to my man Q, Lost Art of Boxing. That's my brother right there. He gonna be judging. Hey, my man Q, man, we got you. You're gonna be judging the battle between me and Big Blunts. If Big Blunts, we only thing we worried about. I don't think Big Blunts got the nuts to come step to me and do a debate. But we gonna see, man. But back to what you're saying, man. You just can't say much more about what's going on with PBC because look at Top Rank. That big baby card. Let's be honest. There was a lot of prospects, young guys, but I honestly think they probably didn't know that Charles Martin had that much left when he went in there and tried to knock that boy Big Baby's head off. So I can't think of the last time I've seen a great Top Rank card. Last time I seen a great Top Rank card was Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, that was good.
You say that Lomachenko fight? No, not really. You really seen Devin Haney going and acting like he was Jermell Charlo, where he was moving, where he was throwing punches. This guy, salute to my man Crown, he said best. The man has no identity. Devin Haney is showing you, man. He just a copycat. He one of them dudes where if he see you with the new shoes on, he gonna go buy the same shoes. That's what he does. He's a cornball. But like you said, PBC is the best in the business, man. It's been that way for a very, very long time. I don't see it changing. I really don't see it changing. But what you think, man?
I believe this right here. I believe PBC really gonna be at the top for a long time to come. People gotta look at what Al Haymon has also done outside of boxing. Al Haymon is, he was in the music business first. He done a lot for Drake. Whitney Houston. So the man is business minded. So it goes a little further than boxing. I mean, he basically, when you talk about behind the scenes, Floyd Mayweather, people think that Floyd Mayweather was really making these moves, but it was Al Haymon. Al Haymon basically made Floyd Mayweather's career as far as the business side. Floyd Mayweather done it in the ring, but when it came to handling business and getting Floyd paid, Al Haymon did that. And I don't think a lot of people know that, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like, man, dude, he's just on another level. If you think about it too, all the De La Hoya fighters, you know what I'm saying, basically left, you know what I'm saying, Golden Boy and went with PBC. I mean, De La Hoya says that Al stole the fighters and all that, but there's a reason they went with Al Haymon. Al Haymon is special, man. He once in a lifetime. People say he don't talk a lot. He don't need to talk. I don't need nobody talking as long as you can get my check signed. That's all I worry about. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about no but the talking, none of this. Just let me know that my money is good. That's all I need to worry about. And there's another guy that I really wish he would have went with Al Haymon because dude is underpaid. And I'm gonna tell you, Teofimo Lopez, man, it's been proving itself over and over again. I mean, I started to doubt him after the Kambosos fight, but now I truly believe that wasn't the real version of Teofimo Lopez. And I'm just tired of dude not getting paid. I'm tired of hearing, you know what I'm saying, he's getting $1 million for fights. Top Rank is really doing this man dirty. I mean, do you feel like Teofimo Lopez is getting the credit he deserved for the career he's had already?
No. Salute to my man Mike Biggs, man. That's my brother right there. That's another cat that's coming up. We come up at the same time on this YouTube journey. I'll say this. When we talk about Teofimo Lopez, they love to talk about how, black fighters don't get no credit or blah, 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 blah. But I look at black and Spanish as the same. It's impossible for me to make a difference in the two because I'm from Cleveland. If you in Cleveland, it's either black or Puerto Rican. It's just that simple, dude. That's how it is in Cleveland. But I'll say this. If that was Tank that went in there, became undisputed, and beat Lomachenko, if that was Tank that went in there and beat Josh Taylor for another lineal championship, I'm not going to come here and speed out, falsities like, oh, he's a 2-division champion, like that dude Derek James did. Derek James went on there and just lied, I guess, to try to take away something from Terrence Crawford that Terrence Crawford hasn't even done yet. Saying, oh, yeah, Teofimo was the last 2-time undisputed champion. That's a lie. At the end of the day, technically, they don't even give Teo his credit for being undisputed. I mean, they did all this little dancing and jabbing, and hey, he lost to George Kambosos, man. It happens, man. Think about Sugar Ray Leonard. His last 2 fights, man, was Hector Camacho and Terry Norris. Them dudes probably couldn't touch Sugar Ray Leonard at the end. But he got those losses. So it don't matter. Losses come. It is what it is. One man say Derek James was effing with dude, bro. I don't know about that. All I can say is this. Let's just be honest. If Teofimo Lopez was Tank, if Tank had the same resume as Teofimo Lopez, man, am I wrong? You can tell me if I'm lying, CDK. He'd be the biggest dude in the world right now. If he had a resume like Teofimo Lopez, come on, man. Nakatani goes in there and knocks out Richard Comey. Knocks him out. He's been knocked out a lot, though. He's been getting beat to death. I get it. But before then, Nakatani was a strong IBF champion. Knocks that kid out. Goes in there and dominates Lomachenko. Dominates him. So it's like, I'll just say this, and I love Tank Davis. Tank Davis is one of my favorite fighters. But when is he going to fight the best? When is he going to do it? When is he going to stop talking and fight the best? We haven't seen it.
You know what? And I believe it's not Tank. I believe it's been his handlers. I truly believe Tank believes in himself. If you ever listen to Tank talk, I believe that he truly wants to fight whoever's in front of him. But when it comes to this boxing and your cash cow, you know how they do. And that's the thing that's wrong with boxing these days. You go back to when Sugar Ray took on Roberto Duran. There wasn't no holding back when it came to fighters, man. You got in there, win, lose, or draw. You got in there and you fought who you fought. But now we have to wait on these fights, and that's what's going on with Tank. I'm a diehard Tank fan too. I'm a T.O. fan. You know what I'm saying? He made me a believer. So I just feel like that, it's more on what's in the background than necessarily Tank. Because I believe, I tell people all the time, if you look at Tank's resume, it's not as bad as people think. Pedraza was an undefeated fighter when he fought him. Mario Barrios was an undefeated fighter when he fought him. Hector Garcia was undefeated when he fought him. So I just go through, Ryan Garcia was undefeated. So Tank does have a lot of undefeated fighters on his record. Now, the thing is, we'll find out how good those fighters really are later on down the line, and we can look back on Tank's career and say, well, he fought some great fighters or he fought some cab drivers. We don't know yet. But with Teofimo, you can already look at his resume and look at who he fought, and you can say, hey, man.
Hey, CDK, don't say that. People get mad when you tell the truth. People get mad when you tell the truth, man. People get mad when you tell the truth, man.
Yeah. Hey. Man, I got to tell the truth, man. And the truth is, Teofimo has already fought fighters that we can say is great. Absolutely. Tank hasn't fought anyone yet that I can say is great. I'm waiting to see what they're going to become. That's just the truth. Even Devin Haney has fought someone that we can say is great, And I'm not big on Devin Haney. He's pillar fisted. There's just a lot of things. I don't even want to get into Devin Haney. He make my head hurt. But that's talking about dude and everything him and his dad got going on. And I just want him to get in there with somebody, like Shakur or either Javante, somebody, man, that I want to see him fight. But I'm going to give Teofimo his credit right now in his flowers and say, man, dude is special. And I believe, man, that if he gets paid what he deserves, I believe he'll come back. I don't believe he's retired. I believe he's tired of being underpaid. You got to pay people when you box. You know what I'm saying? That $1 million probably turned out to be $400,000-$500,000 after taxes and when you pay everybody, if that much. You can't live off of that when you're boxing and taking care of people. So I know what's going on with Teofimo.
Yeah. Hey, we got a couple comments. I'm going to read a salute to my man Mike Biggs. The only problem Tank has is Shakur. No, he doesn't. Shakur got a Devin Haney problem. That's what Shakur got to do. Shakur got to grow a pair of nuts and go fight Devin Haney. Because Devin Haney said, oh, you've been talking crazy. Let's fight. I don't know. Even we heard Sugar Shakur talking all this stuff. But when Devin Haney's in the contract, pillow-fisted, whatever you want to say about him, Devin Haney showed me a lot with that. Because Sugar Shakur is probably one of the most talented guys in boxing. And he said, you know what? Hey, if you want to fight me, be a man, take 25%. As my man Jamel said, take a little bit of less, be humble, shut up, take a little bit less, and go fight him. But he's not going to do that. But we'll see, man. Salute to my man. I'm going to read a couple of these comments real quick. Salute to my man, Athletic Mind. My man said, Al Heyman is the handler of the dude. You said safe boxing. Then he said, them brothers Tank fought not going to be great. He said, Pedraza had his chance. He proved he ain't great several times. I admit that. He has. He really has. He said, Barrios at 147, he cooked. He was cooked before he fought Tank. Fought with the rehydration clause. And hold on, what my man say? Leo and Hector were smaller guys. I'll say this before you go, bro. When you talking about Tank's resume, you know what it is, man. You ever got like a video game, bought a game, then you get the game, and you're like, man, this is whack. At the end of the day, it's a lot of window dressing with Tank's resume. At the end of the day, it's a lot of window dressing with it. And I'll say this, and I'll speak to my man, Lost Art of Boxing, saying, Al Heyman is the handler that helped dude. You said save boxing. At the end of the day, man, Al Heyman's not perfect. But just like Don King, who sat in that same seat, when we get the throttle, all of a sudden we hang under these super crazy standards. At the end of the day, it's the same thing what they say. Al Heyman killed boxing. How long have we heard PBC's going broke? CDK, we've been hearing this for 10 years. PBC's going broke. PBC's going broke. And then they signed Canelo, not to a fight-by-fight deal, a 3-fight deal. And then on top of that, they got Tank. Then on top of that, they got Jermell Charlo. And we got to talk about this before we say anything. Jermell Charlo's about to go in there and shock the world. He's about to stop Canelo, man. He's about to stop Canelo. It's the same thing. He's the same size as Brian Castano. He's going to get in there, and I don't believe Jermell get enough credit on the inside. On the inside, that kid is very solid on the inside. he gonna really bring it. He gonna really bring it to Canelo. What you think about that, man?
I'm gonna say this right here. I 100% believe Jermell Charlo gonna win the fight. You think about this. Canelo has had over 60 fights. After 60 fights, you usually retire. Canelo was on the back end of his career. And from what I've seen from John Ryder, you know what I'm saying, that fight, that's not the same Canelo. I also believe he's suffering from injury still. There's a lot of things going on with Canelo. I just want to address one thing that people said about Tank's career. Listen to me. Everybody gives credit to the smaller fighter when he comes up and wins. But when you beat the smaller fighter, all of a sudden he was small. We got to take that out of the equation. You know what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, they've been moving up weight classes for years, and they were beating them. Let's give that same credit when a great fighter come up and get taken out. Leo Santa Cruz is a Hall of Fame fighter, whether you like it or not. Guess what? Tank put him to bed. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can say what you want to. Right. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Before Tank fought Mario did not have a loss on his resume. Now, if you look at that if you look at that who he fought Keith Thurman, he didn't look that bad. Keith Thurman is not a bad fighter. I mean, he's brittle, he can't stay healthy. But Keith Thurman, when he's healthy, is a good fighter. So let's just be real about those fights. Now, everything else whoever said that, I agree with you. But, man, we got to stop this mess about a smaller fighter coming up, man. If that's the case, we're not going to give, you know what I'm saying, Terrence Crawford credit for beating, what's his name, Gamboa. Let's just take that credit from him. You know what I'm saying? If Earl Spence, he beat Michael Garcia, let's just take that from him, too. You see what I'm saying? We got to stop that. If I ain't tell you move up. If you move up on your own and you get the brakes beat off of you, you know what I'm saying? That's on you. But give me my credit.
And you know what's funny? You talk about boxing, you think about people like Tommy Hearns. Hold on. You think about Tommy Hearns, who was one of the first 5 division champions. Everybody can't move up like that. Everybody can't move up like that. You really got to have some nuts to do that. And like, salute to my man Crown Jewel, man. That brother coming late from the mosque. Hey, but let me say this. Ain't no such thing as a smaller fighter, because I seen Roberto Duran go 2 weight classes up and beat the life out of Sugar Ray Leonard. And I'll tell you this, man, that wasn't easy to do. And then when he beat him, let's remember this. Then when he beat him, Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, grabbed him. I guess he was up at 190. He was up at 190. Had to lose 30 pounds, in 2 months. And then he beat him. Now all of a sudden they want to give him all this credit. At the end of the day, Sugar Ray Leonard could never beat Roberto Duran 100%, but they give him credit for it. So at the end of the day, we can play all the games we want. What you think about this whole thing, Crown? I know you from Atlantic City. What you think about your boy Sugar Shakur not having no nuts, man? What you think about that?
I think that's completely false. I think y'all running with a false narrative on here. I think y'all I got a video up about it earlier.
I seen that.
You gotta know the facts behind it. Now, Shakur's the WBC #1 mandatory, right?
Correct.
Which means he's owed a title shot. He doesn't have to negotiate for a title shot. He's owed a title shot. When a mandatory and a champion cannot reach an agreement, it goes to a purse bid.
Yeah.
When it goes to a purse bid, the highest bidding promoter is able to promote the fight. Once they come up with a number for a mandatory challenger, not just a regular challenger, he is entitled to a 70-30 split. Mm-hmm. So if I invoke my mandatory and I'm guaranteed 30%, why in the hell would I negotiate 25% and agree to it? He don't have to take 25%. He can invoke his mandatory and automatically get 30. So I'd have told him to take that. I'd have wiped my ass with a 25% contract.
Hey, but see,
I don't know if you heard what I said. That's why I was asking about, that's why I was excluding the belts and talking about the, far as Devin Haney popularity and talking about Tank. That's why I was saying that, hey, if him and Tank fight, he's not going to be the A side.
He still won't be the A side. No.
Yeah, I was looking at it from their perspective, and I felt like that Shakur does deserve more money, and I know where it's coming from. But I also feel like this right here. Hey, Floyd Mayweather took a gamble. Sometimes you got to take a gamble. That's how I'm looking at it. Like, hey,
but here's the thing.
Go ahead.
It's not taking a gamble. It's taking a gamble if you're just taking a fight that you're not mandatory for. But when you're mandatory, you've earned the fight already. So you don't have to take a gamble less than the 30% you're guaranteed from the WBC. The WBC tells you you're entitled to 30%. Now, here's the thing. We can't look at popularity because this is not a popularity fight. Neither one of them are big stars at this point.
Right.
It's him invoking his mandatory. And we know when you invoke your mandatory, there's rules set in place for that already. Now, we talking about Tank, that's a whole nother animal. Because Tank can make the same money with or without Devin.
Right.
He's going to call the shots because I don't need you to make money if I can make the same money with or without you. But in this situation, again, everybody is so quick to jump on Shakur, and I think they should just do a little bit of reading because the WBC's policies is online.
Yeah.
If you go down to 2.6, which deals with mandatory challengers, it will tell you the breakdown. A mandatory challenger is entitled to a 70-30 split. So Devin knows that as well. That's why he offered him 75-25 because he wanted him to say no. And he's hoping that Shakur won't invoke his mandatory. And it could be they both said, listen, I know you can get 30% through the WBC. But why don't we act like we're having a tough time negotiating so we can drive the price up a little bit and both get paid? Don't think that may not be going on behind the scenes either. But trust me, Shakur ain't done.
I gotta say this, man. I gotta call Crown Jewel. You know what, man? This is what he do. Whenever he come up here, he get to talking crazy. I gotta snatch your chain for you talking wild like that. At the end of the day,
everything I said is facts.
Hey, at the end of the day, you're an intelligent man. I can't compete with you on that. I can't. I'm just a regular guy. I can't compete with you on that. But we talking about who's the best. Shakur doesn't want to fight. He would have been made his mandatory. He doesn't want to fight. He only
just
want to fight.
became the mandatory.
Listen,
he's been asking for the. Hold on.
Go ahead.
BBO, you got to be fair.
I'm being fair.
He's been. Hold on. Then you got to listen. He's been asking for the fight since before he was the mandatory. He forced his way into becoming the mandatory because remember he had to go through 6 opponents before he found somebody that would fight him for the mandatory. He didn't have to go through all that. So he went through everything it took to be mandatory. Jumped in the ring at Devin's last fight. Devin ran out the ring and refused to engage. Sending bottles, telling him sign the contract, has been antagonizing him ever since. You ain't doing that for a fight you don't want. He wants the fight. He just understands that Devin sent him a lowball offer. I'm guaranteed 30%. So why would I take your 25%? And then so many people running with this narrative. Well, Devin took less money for Kambosos. Number one, Devin was not Kambosos' mandatory. Devin negotiated a fight between himself and Kambosos. He was not the mandatory. And they say he took lesser money in both fights. That's a lie. He made $9 million in the second fight, and I think Kambosos made $5 million. So Devin actually got paid more than Kambosos in the second fight. So a lot of people are running with a false narrative. Again, I have fighter friends that gave their life to boxing. Like I was smart enough that while I boxed, I became a firefighter, got myself a pension, so I'm okay. But I got friends, close friends, that did nothing but box. Some of which have fought for world titles, and they walk away with nothing. So I'm never going to be mad at somebody that's making sure they're getting what they deserve or what they're alive. And when you earn the right to be a mandatory, at least 30% comes with that. So why should he sign for any less? Why? So YouTuber can say, he's great. He really wants to fight. No. All I got to do is call the WBC and say, yes, I'm invoking my mandatory. Give me my 30%.
Go ahead. No, but this is the thing. This is the thing you got to do. I got to be honest, man. I understand how my man Crown is doing. He getting in his cape. He about to hop in the booth. Let me make sure I got it. This is what I'll gather from this. So you about to go on the booth. There's someone called Captain. He come Crown Jewel to come save Shakur. At the end of the day, man, I get what you're saying.
I ain't gotta save that man. That's a bad man.
That's business. That's business talking. See, that's the thing. Are you a businessman or are you a fighter? If I'm a fighter, just like Tank's trainer said, hey, I'm gonna take what I can get and make it work. At the end of the day,
but here's the thing. By definition, what you just said, what he can get, right? What he can get is 30% by invoking his mandatory. So why the hell should he take 25?
Because Devin's going to lead the division.
If he was in Devin's shoes, Like when Devin fought Kambosos and he was not a mandatory, then he would have had to take the 25. But I don't got to take the 25 if I can plainly read the WBC's rules, and that tells me I get 30. Not to mention, I'm sure Bob is telling them, don't sign that. I'm sure Jay Prince is telling them, don't sign that. They owe us 30. Why would we take 25? And when you're talking about millions of dollars, that 5% is a lot of money.
I get it. And this the thing. This is what I'm saying. See, that's what happens now. And CDK, you could attest it. It's way too many businessmen in boxing. It's a lot of these smart guys like Crown. This is the thing. It's a lot of these guys like Crown Jewel.
Let me bring something to your attention.
Go ahead.
Bring something to your attention. By slighting Shakur that extra 5%, what he's doing is what Devin is doing is basically making Shakur pay half of his sanctioning fees too. Because you know they pay 3% for each belt, both of them. Mm-hmm. So now Shakur's gonna give up 12% of his purse to the fucking sanctioning bodies, and he's gonna give 5% to Devin that he doesn't have to give to him. So he's gonna lose 17% of his purse before he counts $1, before he pays taxes, before any of his cornermen are paid. Y'all actually, more people in boxing should be businessmen, and we'd have less of them running around trying to take pictures for a couple of dollars and struggling to feed themselves.
Hey, all I can say is
say they're tough.
All I can say is this, man. No matter what, he counting that money like Kane. No matter how you want to put it, we already know Sugar Shakur is counting that money like Kane. It's about being great, man. And I don't know what I can say. All I can say, CDK, is talk some brother talk to him. Because at the end of the day, if you a great fighter, you're going to take whatever.
You do realize, that's not true. That's not true.
Check this out.
First of all, he's already a 2-division champ. Let's not discount that. He's already won a title at 126 and 130. So
Did he fight Gary Russell at 126?
Gary Russell turned him down. Gary Russell ain't fought in over 2.5 years and lost his last fight. I don't want to hear about Gary Russell.
Okay.
So he's in his 3rd weight division. You just talk about guys moving up, daring to be great. He's in his 3rd weight division. He had one fight at lightweight in which he took on a top 7 contender because none of the top 5 would fight him for mandatory. They all told him no. Pitbull Cruz, everybody that was ranked under him until he got the number 7 said, no, we don't want to fight this guy. Mm-hmm. Again, you're saying take whatever you can get. No, you're not earning something and letting somebody give you something less. Nobody is. And y'all keep talking about too many businessmen. I know Mike Tyson made that quote, and it's a great quote, right? But let's think back, because I've been around long enough to remember when Tyson was champ. Been to a couple of his fights. Okay, didn't he get the lion's share of all? He was a businessman. Because while he was getting 30 million, the guys he was fighting was getting 1 or 2. How do I know? 2 guys I trained with fought Mike Tyson, Carl Truth Williams and Bruce Seldon. So when he says that sounds nice. He was a businessman. Because he didn't give the guys he fought great splits, and guess what? They had to take it because it was the opportunity of a lifetime. They got the minimum of what they could get. And as Shakur needs to get the minimum of what he can get. And the minimum of what he can get is what the WBC says, not what Devin Haney says.
So would you take the 30%?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would take the 30% because that's what the rules say. But I'm not taking 28. I'm not taking 27. I'm not taking no less. Because when you're talking about they're splitting millions of dollars, that 5% is a lot. That 5% is what he's going to. That's what he's going to pay his assistant trainer and his cut man.
I was talking about that. I'm going to be honest.
Sanctioning fees. Like at some point, you got to take a stand and say, "Hold up, I really want this shot." See, this is how the UFC works. They trick these fighters and saying, just be tough. Just prove you tough. Don't worry about money.
Yeah.
And then you retire brain dead and broke.
Yeah.
Nah. This isn't tough man competition. This is called prize fighting. You can't have prize fighting without the prize.
Hey, all I know is this. If I was there right now, Crown Jewel, man, I would step on your shoes, man. And I got to say this, man. I got to give you a Devin Haney push for that. I got to give you a Devin Haney push for that because really, that's the problem with boxing. You got business guys like you that want to talk all this stuff about at the end of the career. At the end of the day, if you're a great fighter, there's not
business. It's rules to boxing.
But check this out. There's not a place in the world a great fighter can't make money. There's not a place in the world. Tyson lost all his money. How many times did Ali go broke? How many times did Ali go broke? He even went
Tyson
broke.
and Ali are enigmas.
But guess what? They can always get money, Crown, and you know that.
Hundreds of thousands of fighters that never. All right, love you too. Be good. I'm sorry, I'm saying bye to my son. There are hundreds of thousands of fighters that will never see Tyson Ali money. 1% of fighters, 1%, just like the 1% in the world become millionaires. 1% of boxers ever fight for a world title. Less than 1% become millionaires because there are plenty of guys that fight for titles for $50,000. Don't get it twisted. Okay, so less than 1% of fighters make that kind of money. And you said a great fighter can go anywhere and make money. I happen to be official on this. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Virgil Hill, 5-time world champion, light heavyweight cruiserweight champion. My son that I just said bye to is his kid's first cousin. We have kids by sisters. Okay, I know him very well. He actually trained me the last 2 fights of my career. And while he made a lot of money through the course of his career through attrition, he's a 5-time world champion, International Boxing Hall of Fame.
Damn.
Or one of those guys that can make it anywhere. That don't happen.
Hey, I don't know what's happening to my man CDK.
About me. I'll tell you.
I don't know what happened to my man CDK. He's just you just missed. I don't know if he fell out of his chair. Hey, salute to my man Athletic Mind. I'm waiting on my boy Athletic Mind to pull up because he said what he said. Tank moving up and down in weight, then fighting guys little weight classes. Tank's a little guy, but I get what you're saying. But like I said, you talking about businessman. I get it. That's the.
It's not just about. It is a business. It's not backyard brawls. It's not amateur boxing. It is a business, and any fighter you name took care of their business. You can name. The only difference is fighters are more vocal now. You have social media, so you hear it from their mouth. Years ago, they just spoke through their promoters. But there's never been a time where fighters didn't negotiate for their best interest if they could. Every fighter did.
Well, let me ask you this. Saying that, let me ask you this. You say that, right? About how fighters are thinking about getting their business done. At the end of the day, man, Floyd took a 70-30 split to fight Oscar. He didn't care about the money. He said, I want the fight.
He can't. No, but again, he took the 70-30 split. Devin won his 75-25. That's unheard of for a mandatory. It's 70-30. Why did he push the extra 5%? Because he wanted Shakur to turn it down.
So how do you see that fight playing out? You sound so sure about it. How you see that fight playing out?
Well, I'm gonna just say this, and like I said, I like to go to facts. All right. Who? They're both boxers. Neither one of them are punchers, right? Although Shakur seems to be able to punch a little bit better, but neither one of them are knockout punchers, right?
Right.
Shakur's quicker. Shakur's more athletic. Shakur's more polished. If you look statistically, he's better defensively. So I think he outpoints Devin. I think Devin knows that, which is why all you got to do, and shout out to my man, manager Marty, when, like he says, roll the tape. Roll the tape. Look at all the vitriol in Bill Haney and Devin Haney's voice when Tank Davis comes up. Or look at the vitriol in their voice when your boy, you just said Gary Russell's name came up. Oh, we want to fight him right now. They say everything but let's fight. Let's fight. When Shakur name come up, what do they say? We'll fight later on down the line. When it happens, it's going to be for everything, and we're going to see. We may fight at welterweight. Their energy was never the same with Shakur. They showed their hand. They didn't want to fight. Then they come out and say, Bob never offered them to fight. The very next day, a video was posted by YSM Media where Bob himself saying, the fight I want for Devin Haney is Shakur Stevenson. So we know Bill and Devin have been the ones that haven't wanted that fight. And they've been vocal about it. They haven't even denied it.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but this is the thing I'm saying that I think you're missing. At the end of the day, that was a pride, I think, for Devin Haney to kind of save face. I kind of get what you're saying, but you know what? At the end of the day, I was hoping Shakur would call his bluff. That's all it was. I was hoping he would call his bluff.
Well, he can still call his bluff. Let's not jump too far because, again, if he goes to the WBC and invokes that mandatory, he's still calling his bluff. He's still going to have to fight him.
Devin's going to leave, man. Devin's going to run from him at that. You know that.
Well, then you can't say Shakur's running.
I'm just saying, you know how it goes.
Hold on. Anybody with any kind of boxing mind feels like Devin is going to go to 140 if he can't get Tank. And the only reason why he wants to stay at 135 for Tank is because he wants to cash out. Let's be for real. Because he ain't beating Tank either.
No.
But what I'm saying is, it's scary hours at 140. Because who does he beat at 140?
Regis?
I don't think Regis looked bad in this last fight. But I will say that kid Regis fought was awkward and can punch a little bit. Devin can't. I think Regis is going to walk to Devin and dog him. I think Tiafimo beats Devin at 140. I think he's quicker, more athletic, with more pop. I don't see who are the major fighters at 140, Devin, which is why I think Devin is negotiating so hard and trying to get paid so bad because he knows it's midnight. You know that glass slipper is about to go away. He knows. And so he's trying to cash out because if he fights Shakur and he don't cash out, he's back to being a contender. If he fights Tank, he's going to get knocked out in dramatic fashion. He may not even be a contender after that. So he's trying to do everything he can to cash out, and it shows. If he's worried about legacy and he said Shakur's his friend, then he would have made him a respectable offer. He would have said, listen, we friends. Hold on. He just said, we friends, right? I want you to feed your family too. And I believe in myself. So I'm going to offer you 60-40 since we friends. And we go all the way back to the amateurs since we've been kids. And we sparred. And we got each other's phone numbers and all this shit they talk about. If Devin's not a businessman, why wouldn't he say, yo, my friend, let's make it happen. I'm going to prove I'm better than you. And you know what? I'm going to give you a 60-40 split because that's fair. Because our numbers are similar. So I'm going to give you 60-40. You get a chance to fight me. We both make some money and take care of our families. And I'm going to send you on your way with an L. Did he do that? No, because he doesn't have that confidence. Because he knows Shakur, Jersey's own, Brick City's own, is going to tap that ass.
Pause.
Yeah, pause. Double pause.
Hey man, I apologize. I'm out here in the country. For the 4th with my brothers on my phone. I don't know what's going on, man. It's in and out. I apologize.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good. But we got to get to this most important thing because, Kron, I've been waiting to talk to you about this. What you think about King Canelo getting ready to fight Jermell Charlo?
I think it's a good fight. I was criticizing Canelo at first because I thought he chose the smaller Charlo until I found out the bigger Charlo said he wasn't mentally ready to fight yet. I still think he beats Canelo because, again, I feel like Canelo has a problem with anybody that has quicker feet than him and is more athletic than him. Charlo is that. So Charlo is potentially, outside of Floyd Mayweather, the most athletic, and maybe still with Floyd Mayweather because he's younger, maybe the most athletic guy Canelo's ever been in the ring with, number one. And number two, he can punch too. Canelo's fought punchers. He's fought athletic guys. He's never fought both in one fight. He had a problem with Lara. Lara's athletic. He's not a puncher. He had a problem with Floyd. Floyd's athletic, not a puncher. Charlo is about 6'1" in both. So he's going to have a huge height advantage. He's going to have the athleticism advantage. He's going to have the age advantage. And I think he punches as hard, if not harder. So I think Canelo's in trouble in that fight. And I think they have a plan where he fights the smaller Charlo, then a bigger Charlo, then Earl Spence. That's the 3-fight deal. I don't think he makes it to the second fight. I think he's going to get beat by small Charlo, and he's going to retire because he's going to get embarrassed.
I'm going to say this. I got Jermell winning too because I think Canelo's going to come out there like Brian Castano did and think that he can go on the inside. And Jermell is a little different. He can go on the inside and really brawl too. I'll just say this. He's
better than his brother.
Oh, man, Jamal has shown you, man, that he just got too many issues, man.
Yeah.
He got too many issues. He can't put the bottle down. It's just that simple. We got to call it what it is. The man can't put the bottle down.
He's drunk at fights all the time. There's no lie about that.
I mean, it's getting bad, man. It's getting bad because you got people who say, oh, you're a black guy. You shouldn't say anything about him drinking. The dude is throwing away potentially a Hall of Fame career for that bottle. We got to call it what it is, man.
You're right.
He's throwing potentially a Hall of Fame career away because of that bottle. But I say this.
Here's my thing. Even if you're going to drink, right, as a fighter, any profession, you don't drink on the job. Anytime you go to a boxing match as a fighter,
you at work.
You're working. Like,
Yeah.
just as a YouTuber at this point and a trainer, right? I don't drink at boxing events. People offer to buy me drinks all the time. Now, if you want to buy me a drink at the bar later, cool. But while I'm in business mode, and he's a fighter in the prime of his career, slurring words drunk at every fight and doesn't hide from cameras. So he doesn't even mind you knowing he's drunk. Like, that's bad business.
I'll say this, man. At the end of the day, Canelo, I mean, I gotta say this, man. I gotta give you the beats for this, man. You cannot tell me Canelo does not have the biggest nuts in boxing. He about to go in there, win, lose, or draw. But listen, win, lose, or draw. Win, lose, or draw. We're talking about him possibly fighting Jamel, then David Benavidez, and then Errol Spence. I don't think he can do this. But if he stops Jamel,
here's the thing. You said the biggest nuts in boxing. Benavidez has been his mandatory for over a year. He had him removed as his mandatory and ducked him. So that's not having big balls.
What about Morrell? What about Morrell?
Hold on. I think Morrell's going to beat Benavidez, but I'm just speaking of Canelo right now. I think Canelo beats Benavidez, but I still don't understand why he's scared to fight him. He still ran for the
mandatory. Let me ask both of y'all a question.
To avoid his mandatory. Go ahead.
I'm big on Dave Morrell too. But you've been in the ring, you know what I'm saying? I boxed as an amateur. I ain't make it to the level you made it. I was decent, but I've been watching boxing long enough that I can do the eye test, I believe. Mm-hmm. What do you see in Morrell both of y'all, what do y'all see in Morrell that makes you think he's gonna beat Benavidez?
I see skill. He's fundamentally sound. He can punch. And not only that, there's one real intangible that none of us can measure. Like you said, it's only the eye test. Mm-hmm. He's a killer. He savagely beats his opponent. I hate to say it, he almost killed one guy. You remember he was asking the ref to stop the fight? The ref didn't stop the fight. The guy ended up with a brain bleed. Like, the man is a savage. Like, he doesn't outbox people. He doesn't come in and fight pretty. He beats people up. He's like Errol Spence on steroids. He beats people up. and what I've seen in Benavidez against Plant, slow-footed. There's some holes in his game. And if Plant was able to give him problems with lateral movement for 7 rounds, what the hell you think is going to happen with a guy like Canelo get in front of him? So I love Benavidez prior to the Plant fight. But I think he's been exposed now. And I think he's not a one-punch knockout puncher. He's a volume puncher. And he's slow. Yeah. David Morrell got one-punch power. Is quick, has quick feet, can box, is polished. I think that fight is going to look like his brother's fight against Terrence Crawford.
I'll say this. When you talk about David Morrell is everything we thought Jamal Charlo would be. Everything we thought it would be: a big, tall, strong fighter, boss. Big, strong fighter. And if you remember when he fought Hapu, who worked this from The Simpsons, this last fight, I thought he was going to kill that dude. When you talk about Morrell, he's too strong. He just got too much skill too. He doesn't get hit. He doesn't get hit a lot. He don't get hit a lot.
Get in the cage.
He doesn't get hit a lot. He don't get hit a lot. So, I mean, when you talk about him going there against Benavidez, I think, like he said it best, Benavidez was getting dominated for 6 straight rounds and really couldn't do nothing until what? Until Caleb did what he always do, the gas tank with the E. And you can look at the fight when he fought Darrell. When he fought Darrell before, what happened? It's the same thing, man. Once Darrell got cut, that's when David Benavidez took over. David Benavidez was really, let's be honest, man, he's been marketed very well.
But in his defense, he's a Mexican fighter, right? Traditionally, even your greatest Mexican fighters, they all look bad for 5-6 rounds. And then all their opponents look tired in later rounds. Why? Not because the opponents are out of shape. It's because they put so much pressure on you, and it's a war of attrition that after 6 rounds of holding a pace that you have to hold to keep them off you, you ain't got nothing left. So I don't want to just put everything on Plant not running out of gas. And I'm gonna say this: I guarantee you, Plant was in the best shape of his life for that fight.
I believe that too.
Unfortunately, when a guy is steamrolling towards you like that, it's so much mental fatigue that goes along with that, dealing with that pressure aside from the physical fatigue. And see, Benavidez is a volume puncher, throws so many shots. He's a body puncher. He wears those guys down. So the thing is, Morrell would have to not get worn down in those early rounds. But I think the difference is I think Morrell will be able to put so much hurt on him that he won't be able to press him the way he pressed those other guys.
Right. I agree with that.
I'll say this though, when you talk about David Benavidez, man, I know we don't like to be this real about it. I mean, you're a former fighter, man. You know, I just watch, but I mean, the dude is not who they say he is, man. He's not. They making it seem like David Benavidez is De La Hoya, and he's not.
Well,
he's not.
He was matched up correctly. He's the beneficiary of some good matchmaking, and they did what they were supposed to do with him. They put him in there with some guys that he was able to look at spectacular against early. But again, I think I'm not going. I think he's a good fighter. I don't want to say that, but he's not top tier. And I think, just like I said about Devin, it's midnight. The cat's out the bag. You know what I mean?
Hey,
we now have seen Plant showed what he is.
Hey, but let me ask y'all a question. Do you believe that David? I mean, what we seen from Canelo in his last fight? Do you think that Canelo has enough right now still left in the tank to beat that David Benavidez?
Yes, because David Benavidez, like Canelo, has problems with people who have quicker feet than him. And at this point, Canelo still has quicker feet than him. Because even though Canelo's older, an older Canelo is still quicker and more athletic than David Benavidez. He just is. And Benavidez doesn't have the kind of power that's going to do anything to Canelo, because we've seen Canelo hit by Triple G. We've seen him hit by Bivol. We've seen him hit by some big punches. So I don't think Benavidez is going to overwhelm Canelo with power. And I don't think he's quick enough to outbox him. So I think, to be honest, if I'm Canelo, that's the fight I'm pressing for. Because I know I'm going to beat the hell out of him.
Okay.
I'll say this, man. At the end of the day, like you said, David Benavidez is not that athletic. Unlike most of the Mexican fighters that we say that are great, like your Oscar De La Hoyas, your Ryan Garcias, the guy just doesn't have athleticism. And I think long term, that's what continue to be his issue, is not having athleticism. And like I said, the thing that gets me about this fight is nobody's giving Jermell Charlo his credit, because Jermell Charlo has been saying for a long time, I'm the best in boxing. And just me, I don't know about else, but he's number one on my pound for pound list, because the way he went through that 154 pound division, other than that bum Jason Rosario, who was an absolute poser, he really beat a lot of tough guys, man.
I have to check you on that, though. He said he's always said he's the best number one pound for pound. I always call guys when they don't have the same energy. When Earl's name came up, he didn't have that same energy.
No, he didn't.
You can even watch their whatever you call it, All Access. Yeah. When Jermell said, I knock all southpaws out. And Earl said, no, the hell you don't. He's like, well, I don't mean you. I don't mean you. Then Jermell kept saying, I won't fight Earl. I won't fight Earl. He's my friend. And Earl said, shit, he's my friend, but I'll fight you. Yeah. Earl has always talked like he wanted to smoke with Jermell, and Jermell has always eluded that. You never hear him talk spicy about Earl. So that leads me to believe, not only that, he actually came out publicly and said Earl has hit him harder than anybody's ever hit him. So that lets me know how the sparring sessions go. So I can't put him ahead of somebody that he won't put himself ahead of.
Well,
that's why he tells. Go ahead. That's why he's always telling him. He's always telling Terrence Crawford, you got Earl Spence problem. Don't worry about me. You know what I'm saying? He know what Earl Spence brings to the table. You know what I'm saying? He know. I believe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I believe that he truly believes that Earl's gonna, you know what I'm saying, dominate Terrence Crawford. But from what they doing sparring, that's what I believe.
Yeah. I'll say this: when you talking about Earl, I love Earl. I've been following Earl since the amateurs, but he's not going to dominate Terrence Crawford. There's nothing. I don't think
Earl doesn't have the style to dominate anybody. That's not his style. Everybody will have. Earl's like a black Mexican. Everybody will have some success early against him, but he's going to put so much pressure on you and hit you so hard, so often that after 5 or 6 rounds, you start to break down. So I think Terrence Crawford has a shot in that fight. I'm gonna be honest. I'm an Earl guy, but I think Terrence has a shot. His only shot is to catch Earl with something early and hurt him. And if he doesn't, by the 5th or 6th round, he's gonna have taken so much punishment. And he's a little guy. Like Earl is like a Mexican on steroids. This guy's breaking eye sockets, breaking noses, breaking ribs, and Terrence is a 36-year-old guy. How much of that is he willing to take? Especially from a guy that said,
Carl, let me ask you this. Well, let me ask you this, Carl. Let me ask you this. Did we not see Errol Spence spit the mouthpiece out when he was hurt? We seen that twice.
Well, first of all,
let me finish before you answer this. Then on top of that, we seen him turn his head. I know you seen that, CDK. He turned his head when he get hurt. Turned his head with Danny Garcia. Turned his head with
I'll let you answer that.
Well, I believe his explanation in the last fight against Ugas. He had fake teeth in his mouth.
Yeah.
He didn't spit his mouthpiece out. His mouthpiece got knocked out. It was an ill-fitting mouthpiece over false teeth. He thought, he said it, I thought my teeth were still in the mouthpiece. So I looked down at the mouth, and I mean, that's a natural reaction, especially with something that new. He hadn't had false teeth that long then. He said he looked down at the canvas at his mouthpiece to see if his teeth was in it, and probably thought the ref was going to break it and give him his mouthpiece back. Now, I give him props because while looking down at the mouthpiece, completely relaxed, flat-footed, and not in a position to receive a punch, he got hit with 2 solid punches, didn't go down. And when he realized the ref wasn't going to step in, you seen him put his hands up and like he wanted to go back to work. So I think they overplay that. I look at that like that dude's a maniac. With his hands down, looking at the floor, your Dennis Ugas hit him with 2 clean ones, and he didn't go nowhere.
Right. Man, I couldn't have said it better, and that's what why I let you go ahead and say what you said, man. People looking at that as a sign of weakness. I look at it as a sign of strength. From what I seen, he showed me something.
And from that moment on, he commenced to whooping Ugas' ass. Directly after that, he didn't wait. Like, I think Earl Spence is the closest thing to Marvin Hagler we have in today's boxing. He's just a mean guy. He's not a one-punch knockout guy, but he just bludgeons you to death and beats you up over time.
Hey, I'll say this, man. I hear what you're saying about that, but it's just been many times that I don't know. That's the thing. When it comes to a guy like Terrence, he's so athletic. He's not what he was. I'll say that. But when I seen him against David Avocado, walk him down like George Foreman and just punch the dog out of him, and like you said it best. You said it best. You just said it.
David Avocado. Who is that?
But that's the thing you got to remember. If Errol gets hit like that, he going down. I didn't see Errol get. Oh my God, Errol's going down, dude.
No,
that's what scared me about Errol. That's what scared me about that. I don't think people giving Terrence enough credit because Terrence is a smaller man, right? Let me say this: Terrence is a smaller man, right? He looked noticeably smaller when they did the weigh-in. And why in the world did he not get a rehydration clause? Because what? He got some of the biggest nuts in boxing. He said, "I'm going to beat you at your own game." You got to give him that, man.
No. Why didn't he get a rehydration clause? Because there is a rehydration clause. Why? Because the IBF has a rehydration clause on every IBF title fight. They invented the rehydration clause. It's a 10 pounds. You don't have to put it in when it's in the IBF rules. Just like Devin said, he ain't having no rehydration clause against Tank. You're not defending your IBF then. Because the IBF has always had, not always, ever since Arturo Gatti knocked out Joey Gamache and was 30 pounds heavier than him, the IBF has had a morning of the fight weigh-in. So all this talk about rehydration clauses is a bit skewed. There's always been one. Now, the thing is, just like Ryan, after he weighs in the morning, he can go gain whatever he wants for the rest of the day up until fight time. But at that point, you're only putting water back. They make you weigh in the morning, so you're not putting solid weight back on. They're not really worried about the water you're putting on because you're gonna pee that out anyway. So it's no rehydration clause because Earl has the IBF title, and the IBF already says you're gonna have a next day weigh-in.
But it's the thing I'm saying. I think Errol's gonna win, but I'm saying I just don't know how Errol will take those punches, man, because it looked like Crawford punching the dog out of people, man. It's what it looks like. And Crown, you know, like I know, it's been a while.
About the fact that
he said no, not with the other titles.
But have you seen how Earl punches?
I've seen him. He seems like more of an accumulation puncher. Like he punches you and hurts you over time. He doesn't seem like he.
So who did you see Hagler knock out and with one punch? Besides Caveman at Lee.
Yeah, Hagler was that too as well. I'll give you that. He was. But I don't know. This is the thing. I don't know if Errol has that in him. We gotta see it. I don't know. I don't know if Errol has that in him. Because I mean he beat Mikey Garcia, he beat Danny Garcia, he beat Sean Porter, but Kell Brook, I don't know, man. Truth be told, the Kell Brook that Terrence beat was way stronger than the Kell Brook that Errol beat. But you know the cool thing about boxing, man, guys, we got some great stuff coming on, man. I just love what I'm seeing with the whole sport in general. It's just so much you can say. But you know, a fight that we gotta talk about, man, that we ain't really talking about.
Hold on real quick, BBO, before we go ahead, because my connection got shaky when Hagler came up. And I guess they had a problem with me comparing him to Hagler. And you said Earl's more of an accumulation puncher. Hagler wasn't an accumulation puncher. Hagler wasn't a one-punch knockout guy. The only guy he knocked out in one round was Caveman Lee. Everybody else he beat up and stopped late. So Hagler was an accumulation guy, a pressure guy. He was most effective in that southpaw stance. And to me, he just beat guys' will out of him like Earl is doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hers had more power than Hagler to me.
You see that with the Duran fight.
Yeah.
Duran went the distance with Hagler. Hearn starched him.
Yeah.
It wasn't the power with Hagler. It was the ferocity. Hagler beat you up.
Let me ask you a question. I'm out 20 miles outside the city limits. I know my phone will keep going in and out. So, Brown, I'm going to ask you a question. Because me and Mr. BBO got a little $50 bet. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm riding with Cool Boy. I believe Cool Boy going to beat Mark. What do you got that fight? I'm going to Cool Boy.
You broke up. I didn't hear what you said.
He's actually
I said
Go ahead.
Me and BVO got a little bit. I'm riding with Cool Boy. He's riding with Monster. How you see that fight playing out? Who you got?
Well, I'm a little biased because I'm from 45 minutes away from Philadelphia, and we come up in the same amateur programs. So I'm rocking with Cool Boy Steph. I'm rocking with Cool Boy. I think Inoue, I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a little bit overrated. Cool Boy Steph is bigger than him, and I think that the size difference is going to play a difference in the play part.
Overrated? How?
The same way every one of those foreigners that looks decent is overrated. We give everybody a bunch of credit.
You see them beat Donaire, man. You seen Paul. You seen
the old Donaire.
You seen Paul Williams trying to run from him, and he still stopped him. Paul Butler tried to run from him, and he still stopped him. And that's not easy to do because we seen your boy Boots that everybody's so high on against Cameron. When Cameron's running from him, he getting his whole body turned around, dude went up under his elbow, all that crazy stuff. But you don't want to give a guy credit who stopped the guy.
I didn't say
who tried to run.
No, I said he's a great fighter, but I think he's overrated in the same way Vasyl Lomachenko was overrated. He is a great fighter. But people want to talk about these guys every couple of years they come along like they reinvented boxing and there's something we never seen before. And that's not the truth. He's a very good fighter. Cool Boy Steph is a bigger fighter than him, a very good fighter as well, has been hot as fish grease lately, and I think he's just going to use that great boxing style he got to frustrate and beat Inoue.
Hey, I got to bring one up to you. My man Lost Art of Boxing said Hagler was stopping stuff, man. I
He
guess he
was.
was like that.
And so Earl ain't stopping stuff. Hagler's my all-time favorite fighter. Don't get it twisted. Hagler's the reason I love boxing. That's what started me loving boxing. But I ain't gonna sit there and act like Earl ain't doing the same thing.
If they fought, who would win? I'll ask you that.
Well, I think that's unfair. You're talking about a middleweight fighting a welterweight.
Now you know Errol ain't no welterweight, bro. Now I ain't got
welterweight his whole career.
He's not a welterweight, man. He's not a welterweight.
Hagler has never fought under 160 pounds. Earl has never fought above 147 pounds.
No, he fought at 154 his first fight.
Okay, well, he fought at 54 in one fight. The bulk of his career has been 147 pounds.
Then why is he that big, Crown? Crown, why is he that big? He's a weight bully.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Because
Crown,
it's not
just like David.
It's not like it's not like he hadn't been there all his career. He didn't.
But he's a weight bully.
He's not a weight. I don't look at it that way. I don't think he's a weight bully. I think he balloons up between fights. There's a difference.
What's the difference?
He's naturally fighting at welterweight. He just doesn't take care of himself between fights and blows up. Mike Tyson used to blow up to 300 pounds. Is he a 300 pounder or is he a 215 pounder? He's a 215 pounder when he's healthy. He's a 300 pounder when he's not. So when Errol's healthy, he's a welterweight. When he balloons up, he's unhealthy. He's living a wrong lifestyle for a fighter. And you see the last few fights, he hasn't been doing that.
I'm gonna ask you this, Crown. You say now you say that about him ballooning up and all that stuff, but that makes no sense because he looks like a doggone light heavyweight in between fights.
Well, he's only 5'8", 5'9", though. You say he looks like a heavyweight. He's not a tall guy.
No, I said light heavyweight.
Or light heavy. He looks like a light heavy. He's not a tall guy. Most of them light heavyweights are 6'1", 6'2". You don't like
Neither was
light heavyweight.
Neither was James Toney. James Toney wasn't the biggest guy, but he was up there too.
James Toney was a middleweight. That was his most effective weight. He did nothing at light heavyweight. He was okay at cruiserweight. He beat Vasily Jiro. But if you're going to, in history, if you're going to go back and chronicle James Toney's career, the bulk of his work was done at 160, 168. When he ballooned up, he was a good fighter, but he didn't perform nowhere near as well as he did at middleweight, super middleweight.
What he say? I'm gonna read a couple of these comments real quick. What he say? Lost out of box said Errol not stopping much. Salute to my man Bruce Gaz, man. Salute to my brother. What he say? Hagler got beat by a welterweight. He did. He said lost out of box.
But hold on. Don't let that go by too quick. Hagler got beat by a welterweight. Let's remember, in Ray Leonard's words, he turned down the Hagler fight for years until he went and met with Hagler and they chilled. And Hagler told him his heart wasn't in boxing no more. And Ray said, "Oh, now I'll fight him." That's Ray Leonard's words. So he lost to Ray Leonard, an exceptional all-time great, the absolute last fight of his career, after Ray Leonard had already confirmed and admitted he only fought him because he said his heart wasn't in boxing no more. So I don't even want to hear that. And it still was a controversial decision. It was a split decision.
And what and how? How was it controversial? I mean, he hit him everywhere except the bottom of his feet.
Did you see the scorecards?
I seen the scorecards. The scorecards were wrong. It should have been unanimous.
It was close. It was 2 judges for Leonard, 1 for Hagler. So that's a split decision.
I'm saying it should have been unanimous.
Hold on. Also, arguably, I think it was the 7th round where he had Leonard out on his feet and Leonard admitted to it. That could have been a 10-8 round. That wasn't called. So, I mean, it was a very close fight. Again, Ray Leonard came out and said, "I only fought him because he told me his heart wasn't in boxing no more." And, he lost his last fight to an all-time great. There's no shame in that.
Well, let me ask you this. See, this is the thing I'll never understand. And I want you to break this down for me. And some of us are still learning, boxing. How in the world is Ray Leonard in such high regard? He was so inactive. He was so inactive his whole career.
How? The eye test. Sometimes you don't have to have. First of all, he made a lot of money, so he had to fight a lot. Like Oscar De La Hoya, he didn't have to fight a million fights because he came out the Olympics making buku money. So if you look at the guys that make a whole lot of money, if they don't blow it, usually they don't fight a whole lot of fights because they don't have to. But you can't deny he beat Wilfredo Benitez. He beat Tommy Hearns. He beat Roberto Duran in the rematch. He beat Marvin.
You killed that rematch?
Huh?
That rematch? That was a setup.
Listen, I know the backstory behind the fight.
Well, tell us the backstory.
Still Roberto Duran's fault.
How? He didn't
First of
know.
all, hold on. I'm gonna tell you.
Go ahead.
Your lack of discipline is why you blew up in weight between fights. Durant's fault, right?
Okay.
Number two.
Okay. He was partying. Go ahead.
Hold on. But it goes further than that. Now I heard this from somebody out of Kronk Gym who was in the know that was around that fight, right? Told me, he said they had I think it was Morrison's that Durant ate at that morning after the weigh-in, right? Because back then you weighed in the day of the fight, not the day before. After the weigh-in, they said he went to Morrison's, got a 16-ounce steak, and ate a half a head of lettuce in a salad. Said the shit was so good to him. Durant said, bring me another steak and another salad. So he ended up eating 2 pounds of steak and a whole head of lettuce worth of salad, right?
Yeah.
The morning of the fight. Okay, what happened 8, 9 o'clock at night in Vegas when he's in the ring? He got to take a shit. He tells his corner he has to take a shit. They want him to shit on the bucket in the corner. He says, I can't do that. Because he didn't want the word to get out that Ray Leonard beat the shit out of him. So he quit. That's the backstory to that fight. But all of that is Roberto Duran's fault.
I heard that exact story. I heard that exact story.
Yeah, and I will say this. The person that told me it, I won't say his name, but he's out of Detroit, and it was a Emmanuel Stewart camp that came to town and was training here for Fight in Lang City. So he was in the Kronk camp. He was a businessman.
I know he's talking about. I heard that exact story. But it's the funny thing about it. Oh, my man Bruce Gass said plus the orange juice, and he had that orange juice.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? He didn't want to shit on the bucket.
They actually did that?
No, that's a mega fight. They're gonna find a way to make it work.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna find a way, but just like they had covered Ray Leonard up with blankets when he was fighting Duran the third time. You know what I mean? Things happen, but his whole thing was he couldn't let the word get out that Ray Leonard beat the shit out of him. So it was easier to quit than deal with that.
Hey, we'll ask you this, Carl, because I love your stories, man. Who is the best fighter you seen up close in person? Who's the best fighter you seen?
You're not going to believe me because a lot of people won't know who this is. And he ended up dying defending his IBF title back in 2005 against Jesus Chavez. But I grew up with a guy by the name of Levander Johnson. And we actually sparred quite a bit too. He ended up becoming IBF lightweight champ, like I said. And if it wasn't for the politics of boxing, he probably would have became a champ a lot earlier. But he didn't. If people could have seen him in his prime, like just the most naturally gifted, he's the only guy I know that could party all night, come in the gym, go balls to the wall for 2 hours, like nothing ever happened. Like it's just naturally gifted. Like he trained hard, don't get me wrong, but wasn't a guy that drilled fundamentals a lot, didn't just naturally gifted. And ask Boxing Insiders about Levander Johnson. I mean, he had knockout power in both hands as a lightweight. Quick as hell. Matter of fact, he gave Sean Bay Mitchell his first loss. He knocked Sean Bay Mitchell out. But he's probably the most physically gifted fighter I've ever been around. Bruce Seldon was very gifted too. He just had a ticker problem. Virgil Hill, very gifted. I got to spar, and you probably won't believe this either. Wilfredo, as young as I am, I sparred Wilfredo Gomez. He was making a comeback in the 80s, and he came here close to Atlantic City. I was training gym in Pleasantville. A guy named Joe Mari was trying to bring him out of retirement, and I got to spar him. I had this man in the corner. He was down like Pernell Whitaker, dropped down low. I couldn't hit him with a handful of rice. While he squatted down in the corner, I couldn't hit him with a handful of rice. So he's pretty physically gifted, you know what I mean? I don't think you can discount Roy Jones's physical greatness. That like at Roy's prime, He was extremely naturally gifted.
So he wasn't good. He was just athletic. Was that what it is?
I wouldn't say he's not good. I would say this. Like Michael Jordan, he's so physically gifted, he doesn't have to do everything the right way.
Mike had the fundamentals, though.
Mike did. And he got to rely on that late in his career, which is why Mike was able to play late, but Roy wasn't able to compete late. But if you look early in Mike's career, he did a lot of things you weren't supposed to do. Jump off the wrong foot, take off from the ball out, leave your feet to pass the ball. A lot of things fundamentally you'll tell regular people don't do. But he was so gifted, he was able to do it. Well, that's Roy. Fight with his hands down at his waist. You know what I mean? All kind of fundamental things that, have to be set, the punches. A lot of fundamental things that he shouldn't have been able to get away with. He was so gifted, it didn't matter.
Right.
Look at when he dropped James Toney.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Yeah.
With his arms out to his side, chin out, and moxie, gets James Toney to do the same thing. Before James Toney could recover, he got hit with a left hook and put down.
You know, James Toney was pissed about that.
Oh, he was. But why would you play his game? Why would you play his game? But did you see the Montel Griffin rematch?
Yeah.
Mad Roy Jones is. He destroyed him in less than a round.
He was angry, man. He was angry too, man.
Okay, did you see him knock out Vinny Pazienza?
I didn't see that fight. I
was at that fight.
I gotta watch that.
You gotta watch the succession of punches he threw at him.
Man,
like he started off with uppercuts from the outside. You're not supposed to do that kind of stuff, and he's knocking out world-class fighters with it. So I think I will say maybe the most gifted. Like I said, I had to speak of my man Levander Johnson, and probably Roy Jones. Roy Jones he had crazy talent, just ridiculous.
It's funny you say that because you don't laugh when I say this, but when I seen Roy fight Mike Tyson in that little amateur fight, whatever that was, that little exhibition.
Yeah.
Man, when I seen that Mike Tyson was out there looking like a technician and Roy was just out there playing around, I said, "Oh, Roy forgot he's old."
Because the dude is just gifted. Even at 50-something years old, he's just gifted. You know what I mean? You watch him, even in these fights that he loses, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at those fights, even in those fights, you see flashes of greatness. There's
right there.
Those fights where you like, damn. You know what I mean? He just gets caught. But you still see the greatness. Like he has something that can't be taught. Can't be taught, can't be taught.
Hey, what about y'all this though? What about this, man? It put a bad taste in my mouth. What about that metaverse fight, man, that he just done with NBO champ, man? That's the worst thing in boxing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, he beat the life out of him, man. He beat the life out of him.
He's not an active fighter.
Right.
He's making money.
Yeah.
Roberto Duran did it. Muhammad Ali did it.
Definitely did it.
A lot of fighters do exhibitions, and because it hasn't been being done in recent years until Floyd started doing it, everybody's criticizing fighters. But again, these fighters, they don't have pensions.
No, I don't care about that. I have no problem with the exhibition. I'm cool with that. Yeah. It's the way they done it. Just threw me.
That's whoever put the money up and asked him to do it. Somebody came to him and said, "Listen, we got this idea." And the idea probably sound like complete garbage, but at the end of it, they said, well, "We're gonna give you $1.2 million." He said, "All right, I'll do it."
Yeah.
Hey, Crown, man, he beat the brakes off that dude too.
Anybody who thought a bodybuilder was gonna keep up with Roy was out of their damn mind anyway. By theory, are slow and lack flexibility. The last guy you want to be in there with, and you're slow and lack flexibility, is Roy Jones.
I mean, I didn't see. Now, this is the part I gotta say, man. And then I'll wrap this up. I gotta say, I didn't know Roy could beat somebody like that. Still, I mean, he really. I mean, Roy beat him like that was his son or something, man. He beat him bad. Hey,
I didn't get a chance to ask you this. I didn't get a chance to ask you this early because you came in kind of late. Let me ask you. but I want to ask both of y'all this because there's a lot of talking. I like I said, T.O. done made me a fan again. Yeah. So, what do you see happening if T.O. and Tank was to fight?
I think Tank takes a shower, man. As my man Crown would say. I think Tank ended up taking a shower because I think T.O. is a slick fighter and he's big. And there was so many times in that fight with Josh Taylor that if T.O. I could say, I don't know if he was on his AA game, but if T.O. would have been on his a little bit more on his game, he probably would have got Josh Taylor. I really hope that this is just me, wishing, but I wish T.O. would get with Breadman. I don't know if you know Breadman from Philly.
Yeah,
trained Caleb Plant. The way I seen Breadman train Julian J. Rock Williams, when I seen that, and me and Crown talked about this before. The way I seen Breadman train Julian J. Rock, if T.O. got with somebody like that who can put him in position with athleticism and the mind, man. T.O., I'm telling you, man, T.O.'s a trainer away, man. People don't realize that kid's a trainer away.
One of Tito's biggest problems is his dad's an idiot, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, he says all the wrong things. He just did it again.
Yeah.
Like, why are you coming out asking to spar Floyd Mayweather, who's 46, get ready to be 47? And you're supposed to be at the top of your game. You shouldn't even be mentioning that. You're mentioning a retired fighter who's touring the world doing exhibitions, and you want to make headlines by saying you want to spar him. That's why I don't feel sorry for him when the internet destroys him, because he just kept saying stupid stuff. Like, if anything, Floyd should be talking about you at this point. Why are you talking about him?
Yeah.
He needs more than anything else. He needs a new trainer, and he needs a media coach. Somebody need to get him a media coach because he says and does all the wrong things.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Man, I appreciate it. I know my phone is gonna go out again, fellas. Like I said, I'm way out here in the country for the 4th of July, so I don't want it to cut out in between y'all. So just in case it does, happy 4th of July to y'all, to everybody, man. I appreciate this.
You too, bro, and stop by and subscribe on my channel, man. I'm trying to get where BVO at.
Hey, now I know. Hey, I got a channel too, bro. I'm small, I got like. Okay, CDK Boxing. I done got to about 1,400 subscribers. It's CDK, capital CDK Boxing. And man, now that I know who you is, I'm definitely gonna hit your channel up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm coming, man, because like I said, we got to grow together.
Absolutely.
Hey, and don't forget before we get out of here, man, we got to get my man Crown's famous ending, man. I love it, man.
All right, my man BVO and CDK. If you've seen my videos before, you've heard it. But it's the only way we leave each other. Until next time, keep your hands up, your chin down, and your ass off the floor. Peace.
There we go.
All right, thank you.